Marcus. No.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the business meetings for the City of Prattville. We have two items for public hearing tonight before we move into our regular council agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Newman.
Here.
Counselor Jackson. Here. Counselor Chambers.
Here.
Counselor Merritt. Here. Counselor
Here.
Counselor Wiley.
Here.
Counselor Stritchett. Here. Counselor Langley. Here.
All right, having a quorum present, I do call this public hearing to order. Item number one on the public hearing for tonight is a resolution to authorize the mayor to have overgrown grass and weeds at 356 Booth Lane, at 809 Dozer Avenue, and at 221 Lee Drive abated and charge any incurred expenses for the abatement process pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this item? Not seeing any. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition of this item? All right, hearing none, the public hearing for this item is closed. The second item for public hearing tonight is an ordinance to rezone property located inside the corporate limits at 1320 Old Ridge Road East from FAR to INST. And petitioner is Central Alabama Community College. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in favor of this item? Yes, sir. If you will state your name and address for the record, and then carry forward.
Yeah, Corey Shoup with GMC. I'm representing the community college on this. I guess
If you would, just state your name and who you're
Corey
with again.
Shoup.
Okay.
I'm with Goodwood Mills and Kaywood. I'm representing the community college in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is a fairly simple. Really, the goal of this was just to match the zoning that the use of property itself was the goal of this. So I didn't know if there's any other questions from the council, but.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
All right,
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of this item? Not seeing any, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition of this item? All right, not seeing any, this public hearing on this item is closed. All right, at this time, you're invited to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation. The invocation will be given tonight by Counselor Chambers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you will, bow your heads and pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together tonight to serve the people of our city. We're grateful for the opportunity and the responsibility you've given us. Lord, we ask for your guidance as we make decisions that affect the lives of others. Help us to listen well, to speak with kindness, and to work together with unity and respect. Remind us that we're here not for ourselves, but to serve, and to do so in a way that honors you. As sons and daughters of yours, help us to reflect your love, your fairness, and your wisdom in everything we do. Bless our community, our families, and those who call this city home. When we leave here tonight, let's go forward with peace in our hearts and purpose and our steps. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Newman.
Here.
Counselor Jackson. Here. Counselor Chambers. Here. Counselor Merritt. Here. Counselor Wiley.
Here.
Counselor Stritchett. Counselor Langley.
All right, having a quorum, I do call this meeting to order. Character trait of the month is creativity, approaching a need, a task, or an idea from a new perspective. Next item on our agenda is approval of minutes. You all received the following minutes before the meeting and have hopefully had time to review those. These will be the City Council meeting, October 21st of 2025, the City Council organizational meeting, November the 3rd of 2025, the City Council meeting, November the 4th, 2025, the public hearing and the City Council meeting for November the 18th, 2025. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve these minutes. All right, motion by Councilor Merrick. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor, I'm just kidding. All in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed, like sign, and any abstentions. And the minutes are approved. All right, at this time, we welcome any comments from persons present regarding items that are on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wishes to speak on items on tonight's agenda, please line up in the middle aisle. You'll be called up to legibly print your name and address, and then when called upon, you will have 5 minutes to address the council. Please state your name and address, and then you may begin to speak. Yes, sir, Mr. White.
Good evening. Want to say congratulations to you all. I've been out of country, so I haven't had the opportunity to come to the city council meetings, but congratulations to you all. And I'm hoping that in this new quadrillion, we can work together to do what's right for Prattville and not for certain people. With that being said, I'm looking down here, and I'm glad that y'all bringing this up to an ordinance to establish the City of Prattville Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, because what I'm seeing is a blatant disrespect, and it's needed. Because if y'all vote on something and it's needed and it's said to be done, covering it up with some fir trees ain't the way to go about it. You know, we've been told many times coming up here, oh, how professional the executive branch is, but yet he's the main one to get up here and call names and does little petty stuff in and around the community. That stuff got to stop. Because y'all work together, checks and balances, that's what it's for. I purposely, 2 years ago, made a comment saying that you all work for the mayor. He got up here and corrected. I wanted him to do that because then he know that y'all supposed to work together and everybody don't work for him. And if you think I'm lying, go back and look at the videos. I purposely did. I intentionally did that. So I'm asking, let's work together to do what's right for the whole community and not just for some. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for items that are on tonight's agenda?
Good evening, Patrick Lucas, 1211 Caliber Crossing, Prattville, Alabama. Just wanted to read something I sent to some of you guys. Some of you guys might have it and some don't, but I'll read it so that people can hear what I wrote. As chairperson of the Autauga County Democratic Party, a veteran, a pastor, a husband, a father, a grandfather, I write not only from a place of public responsibility, but from deep personal investment in the city I call home. As a lifelong resident of Prattville and Autauga County and a committed community leader, I am compelled to speak on behalf of many citizens who are deeply concerned about recent actions that undermine the authority of our city council and erode trust in our local government. I also want to tell you guys thank you because I think it was a 5-2 vote on this venue over here, but I want to say thank you to the council. During a recent Prattville City Council meeting, our duly elected legislative body voted 5-2 to remove a name from a public venue. The mayor did not receive proper authorization to name the venue in the first place. That original decision did not follow the appropriate law. with transparency or in accordance with the responsibilities entrusted to the council by the people of the city. Yet despite a clear and lawful vote by the council, the mayor has chosen not to implement that decision. This is not merely a disagreement over a name, it is a disregard for the democratic process and the voices of the citizens represented by the council. It also raises a serious and troubling question. If code enforcement can come to my home and to the home of everyday citizens to strictly enforce rules, ordinances, resolutions, and regulations passed by the city council, why aren't the mayor and the members of the executive staff seemingly allowed to ignore these same rules without any action or repercussions? Why are the laws and policies passed by this and past city councils fully applicable to the people of Prattville, but not consistently applied to those working in City Hall? Are we to understand that only this mayor and those chosen by them are the truly preferred in what is called the preferred community? Let's be clear. This is not about race. It's not about gender. It's not about socioeconomic status. It's not about political ideology. It's about right and wrong, legal and illegal. It is wrong to actively and continually defy the city council. It is wrong that even as community members speak in support of the council acting, that this executive body and its staff flood social media with posts designed to send a clear message that they believe themselves to be above the rules and above the law. That is preposterous and is unacceptable in any city that claims to value good governance and equal treatment under the law. We believe in accountability. We believe in the separation of powers, and we believe that when the council votes, it is not offering a suggestion, it is issuing a directive that must be honored. I call on the mayor to respect the authority of the council and to uphold the decisions made on behalf of the people of Prattville. I also urge my fellow citizens to remain engaged, informed, and vocal in defense of a transparent, honest, and accountable local government. One of the issues I have, it's okay to disagree, and I said this earlier. It's not about just a name. When people say, well, it's not the name that bothers me. Well, why not call it Malcolm X venue? Why not call it Sally Hot Dog venue? Why not call it Johnny Appleseed venue? If the name is not that important, so we say, then why not name it those things? But my point is this, you have a lot of folks who, every time something come up, we don't agree, well, they just race bait, and no, the law, the rules and regulations should apply to each and every one of us, not some. And when we say for liberty and justice for all, really? Have a good evening.
Please remember that comments for this section are for items that are on tonight's agenda.
Hello, my name is Jessica Hayes. I'm at 1954 Chancellor Ridge Road, and I am here to speak about the agenda item about the setting the procedures for naming facilities. It is not hard to change a social media account name, the page. That could have been done immediately after the decision was made back in November 4th. That is not hard. It is not hard to purchase a vinyl banner with City of Prattville's logo over it. Instead, we spend $10,000 on shrubbery. That's one, ugly. Two, gonna have to be removed when the signage goes back up. What is going on? What accountability is there about this issue? This is like a teenager sulking and being defiant because he was told no. Is that how we're going to operate? Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Jessica, may I ask you a question? What kind of facts, figures, where did you come up with your figure of $10,000?
I saw that as a post.
Social media, Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, that might be inaccurate, and I can be wrong,
Very much, yeah.
and that's fine. But it still would cost money. It still was something that was delayed. It was something that did not need to happen, and it's going to have to be removed anyway. So it's still the principle. And the social media accounts have still not been changed, and that can be done immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak on an item on tonight's agenda? All right. Not hearing any. Mr. Mayor, do you have a report?
Thank you. Good evening, counselors and everyone else here. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, as I did. This season always reminds me of the many blessings we enjoy as a community and as a state. You know, as we reflect on gratitude, I'd like to acknowledge an important moment in our history. This week marks 70 years since Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on the Montgomery bus. Her act reminds us that one person, standing just 5 feet 3 inches tall, 140 pounds, and 42 years old at the time, may not be able to do everything, but they can make a difference. Her courage continues to inspire so many. And counselors, regarding dilapidated structures, bringing this up from our last council meeting, I have confirmed that emails and updates have been going out to the full council since September of 2024. As of today, 2 of the 3 properties in question are not compliant with our secondary permitting process. The third property, located on Isom Street, is currently under review to determine its compliance status. I will provide additional information as soon as it is available. Council President, at this time, I would like to request a point of privilege. I'd like to ask Andrew Odom to present a detailed timeline for the property at 103 7th Street and any other structures he feels necessary.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. So I will start with 106 7th Street, and as I stated in my last timeline regarding this property, on October 20th, 2025, Jonathan Smith, Planning Director, emailed the Robinsons attorney and specifically stated the 7 steps and criteria that needed to be taken. The first of which was submit a building permit application with a site plan showing the footprint of the existing home. It's my understanding the Robinsons came by the planning department this morning and asked about the next steps. And again, they were provided this information in addition to the contract that was signed. That's the last update I have on the Robinsons property. On 103 7th Street, if you'll bear with me, I know this timeline is pretty lengthy, but I'm going to go through it as quickly as I can because this was requested by the council at the last meeting for a detailed history of this property. So April 2nd, 2024, code enforcement noted a potential dilapidated structure at 103 7th Street. Then the case was sent to building official for inspection. April 18th, the building official inspected the property and found that it was in violation of the 2021 International Building Codes. That same day, the case was opened by code enforcement. Also on April 18th of last year, signs were placed in the yard of the property. Notice was sent by certified mail per the tax assessor's records. And on April 24th and 25th, code enforcement officer Mr. Johnson spoke with Jacqueline Jones, who stated the family did want to bring the property into compliance after receiving the notice. On May 9th, the violations for 103 7th Street and 106 7th Street were found to be mixed up. The building official redid the paperwork for both properties, and the timelines were started over for both properties. The noted violations for 103 7th Street included that the residence and at that time 3 accessory structures on the property were unsafe and dilapidated and harboring rodents. On May 9th of last year, notice was sent certified mail, delivered on May 28th, and the note on the U.S. Postal Service site shows no access to the delivery location as of May 10th, 2025, or 2024, I'm sorry. On June 26, 2024, a re-inspection was conducted on the property to find that no improvements had been made and no further contact was made from the property owner within the 45 days of the notice. And again, that's the restarted date of notice. On July 16th, there was a council resolution to declare the property at 103 7th a public nuisance that must be repaired or demolished. on August 20th, code enforcement moved forward and sought quotes for the cost of demolition of the residential structure and 3 accessory structures. The 3 quotes, $20,750, $18,600, and $17,000. The lowest quote was received from 82 Auto Parts at a cost of $17,000 for all 4 structures. On August 21st of 2024, Captain Staggers sent an email to the council asking for guidance on 6 dilapidated structure cases, effectively putting everything on hold and asking for a response by Labor Day. September 9th of last year, Captain recorded no email response from any counselor. Therefore, he advised code enforcement to proceed with 5 of the 6 cases. The one case that did not proceed at that time was the Robinson case, and at that point, the Robinsons had retained an attorney, and that's why that case was not moved forward with. September 12th, after discussing with myself, the case was put on hold, noting that more heirs needed to be notified and restarting the 45-day deadline. On December the 19th, 2024, code enforcement reached out to Concha Hall, one of the property owners, to discuss the property and inquired about the other owners. Ms. Hall advised that she would get Mary Davis, Jacqueline Jones, and Gwendolyn Williams to get in touch with his office. December 23rd of last year, code enforcement returned a phone call from Jacqueline Jones and discussed the current status of the structures on the property. Ms. Jones reminded code enforcement of our conversation on April 24th and 25th of that last year, where her family expressed their intention to bring the property into compliance. Code enforcement informed her that they would be mailing the relevant documents for the case, and once they are sent, the 45-day timeline would begin. Code enforcement also explained that she has the right to discuss the matter with the City Council. Code enforcement then requested the contact information for the other property owners. On December 26th of last year, after speaking with all 3 property owners, code enforcement sent new notices and started the 45-day timeline again. On February 4th of this year, Ms. Jones called and left a message. Code Enforcement Officer Johnson returned the call, where Ms. Jones requested to set up a meeting on February 5th at 11 a.m. On February 5th of this year, Captain Walker, Lieutenant Amos, Code Enforcement Officer Johnson met with Jacqueline Jones, Ms. Hall, and Ms. Williams to discuss the dilapidated structure case for 103 7th. Code Enforcement reviewed with the owners the reasons for the property being dilapidated and addressed the conditions of the various buildings on the site. Code Enforcement also discussed the necessary steps to extend the case timeline. The primary requirement for an extension is the submission of a complete and detailed contractor's estimate, including specific dates for the completion of each task. And they were given a deadline of March 17th on February 5th in which to submit this estimate. They were advised there would be specific deadlines that must be adhered to in order to proceed with the project. On March 17th, more than a month and a half after that February 5th meeting, Code Enforcement re-inspected the property and found it was still in a dilapidated condition. On March 17th, the same individuals met with the property owners once again to address the lack of any progress with the property. A letter was sent that outlined the property owner's intention to delay the process before Code Enforcement escalated the case to the City Council. Code Enforcement discussed the possibility of demolishing one of the back structures on the property and remodeling the house. However, when Code Enforcement inquired about attaining a timeline or estimate from a contractor, it was revealed that the original contractor had never provided an estimate or a timeline for the work. Also, on March 17th, Code Enforcement explained the next step in the process would be sending the case to the City Council for April 2nd, 2025. The individuals at the meeting suggested they may contact the mayor or City Council members to address the issue directly. Code Enforcement advised them if they would provide an estimate or a timeline before noon on March 25th, Code Enforcement would consider halting the escalation to the City Council, However, if they did not receive such documentation, we would be obligated to forward the case to the City Council for further action. On March 25th, there's a note that no documentation was provided by the owners or representatives. On April 22nd, a reinspection was conducted prior to moving forward with the property on the council agenda. Code enforcement found that 2 of the structures at the rear of the property had been demolished. However, there were no permits issued for the address, nor was there a request for a reinspection for showing work that had been accomplished. Code enforcement set the case for review in 6 months since some progress had been made. On October 8th of this year, an email was sent to Ms. Hall, Ms. Williams, Ms. Jones, and Mr. Boyd, the contractor, to inquire about the status of the property plans. Code enforcement gave the property owners until the close of business on October 13th to respond. On October 13th, the contractor responded to the email stating the family planned to have a roofer address the roof and chimney issues. According to the contractor's email, he intended to follow up with the roofer to confirm a date and times to inspect the property. However, Mr. Boyd did not provide any further updates. It's noted that no property owners reached out to the city in October. On October 25th, Code enforcement then contacted 82 Auto Parts to inquire about an updated estimate since 2 of the accessory structures had been removed. 82 Auto Parts provided an updated estimate of $10,300. On November 4th, the council resolution to authorize the demolition of the residential structure and award the contract to 82 Auto Parts for $10,300. On November 6th, after being contacted by Councilor Jackson, Mr. Boyd reached out to request additional time to address the matter. Code enforcement apologized to Mr. Boyd for not notating his response on October 13th in the case notes and let him know that code enforcement still has not had contact with the property owners, which is the requirement per state law. On November 6th, the city clerk noted that the resolution, which was passed by the council, did not include the language of the accessory structure, which was part of the quote of $10,300. City clerk spoke with the city attorney, and he advised that there would need to be an additional resolution to correct the language of the original resolution to include the accessory structure. On November 13th, Code Enforcement Officer Johnson returned a call from Ms. Jones and informed her that no work had been observed on the property since April of 2025, when the 2 structures were removed, nor had any contact been made since March of 2025. Ms. Jones stated that she was not aware of any pending action regarding the demolition of the property. Code Enforcement reminded her of the 2 prior meetings held with her and the other owners, during which Code Enforcement explained that if work ceased and did not continue in a timely manner, the city would have to move forward with enforcement. Code Enforcement also explained the new process involving the dilapidated structure permit application and outlined the required documentation. Code Enforcement advised her to contact the planning department to ensure she has all the necessary information for the application. On November 14th, while leaving City Hall, Code Enforcement Johnson saw Mr. Boyd and Ms. Jones at approximately 11:35 a.m. Mr. Boyd asked about the dilapidated permit application and why they were just informed about the process. Code Enforcement explained this was a new step that was not available when the case was opened initially. Code Enforcement directed them to the planning department. On November 14th, 2025, Ms. Jones, Ms. Williams, and Ms. Hall met with the office manager at the planning department at noon for approximately 4 hours and discussed at the property what would be required for the property. Mr. Boyd, the contractor, and Jermaine, a nephew, were also in attendance at the start of the meeting. Mr. Boyd left around 12:30 p.m. and Jermaine left approximately 2 p.m. The planning department did not specify the accessory structure part to the family, but gave them until December 1st to submit the required paperwork to go along with the demolition permit application. On November 18th, the council resolution to correct the language to include the accessory structure along with the residential structure and award the contract to 82 Auto Parts was passed. Also, on November 18th, the family spoke at the city council meeting requesting more time and asking for clarification on the specific needs to bring the property into compliance. Myself met with the family after the meeting to discuss, and they were also provided with my contact information. The city council advised the family if they did get the permit, it would be good for 6 months, and if making progress, it could be extended. It's noted that yesterday, December 1st, 2025, that all documentation was not submitted by the deadline, but the family did submit a letter requesting more time. I do note that the letter included a project overview, which included a few bullet points: owner verification established, plan of action prior to permit issuance, tarping roof, an add-on structure, chimney engineer to inspect the chimney soundness, engage the services of a structural damage engineer, seek financial assistance to help complete storm damage repairs, seek additional time to complete the remaining project, obtain non-demolition letter in good faith from the city and county of Prattville. And then finally, 113 Isom Street. If you bear with me, this timeline's much shorter. September 20th, 2024, the property was sent to building inspector to see if it was a dilapidated structure. An email was sent to the city council informing them of the potential dilapidated structure, and it was instructed to proceed with the process if we don't hear from the council by October 14th, 2025. On September 30th, the building inspector completed his inspection. Signs were posted on the property and letters mailed out certified mail to the name and address on the tax records. On November 4th, the property was re-inspected at 113 Isom. The code enforcement officer found the building to be in the same condition as it was during the initial inspection. The officer also found the permit the owner pulled to repair the structure on December 24th. The permit was good for 6 months, so the deadline was set for June 3rd, 2025. A re-inspection of the property was completed on the dilapidated structure at 113 Isom Street. The roof still had holes, windows were broken, and the doors were boarded up. The owners did pull a permit in December 2024, but the permit had been voided due to no work being completed on the structure. On June 4th of this year, the case was set to be placed on the agenda for the June 10th City Council meeting. On June 10th, a letter was uploaded to the council from Ms. Townsend to request more time to repair the property. On July 15th, 2025, Greer Services had a quote for the demolition of $5,700, and the case was sent back to the council for their approval. On July 26th of this year, Code Enforcement sent Ms. Townsend an email to inform her of the dilapidated structure permit application and where to deliver it to. The application was attached to the email. On October 29th, Code Enforcement hand-delivered the dilapidated structure application to Ms. Townsend at 102 White Oak Court. On November 4th, Ms. Townsend brought a copy of her completed permit application, and she informed that it had turned into the planning department. And she was informed that she had until December 1st to have the supporting documentation turned in to the planning department. I have a note, as of December 1st, 2025, no response, documentation, or calls were received yesterday. However, on December 2nd, today, a handwritten letter was received. I'll read this letter. It says, "To whom it may concern, we, the family that is left to take care of 113 Isom Street property, will begin work on the front of the house and have it completed by the end of December, weather permitting. Decking and facial boards in January. We will continue on to the back as we are working with an out-of-pocket budget. The back has a two-part section, that second being finished in March. We will keep your office updated as our progress continues. All is contingent on the weather, also depending on when a permit is granted. And that is the end of my update. Thank you.
Thank you. Are any counselors have any questions for Mr. Odom?
Yes, sir. Mr. Odom, I know one of the issues I had after the meeting that we had to demolish the home on the Jones property on 7th Street was when I did talk to the property owner and the contractor the next day. I know I spoke with Ms. Jones, and she mentioned that they had been working with a contractor. I did speak with the contractor, and I was talking to him, and I mentioned that according to the packet that we received, that there had been no contact. And of course, you addressed here where the code enforcement, because I did ask the contractor to submit, well, forward the email correspondence with code enforcement to us. So I know that was part of my decision-making to condemn the property, because it said they did not have contact with either party, but they did. Also, looking at the packet that we received, it seemed that apparently there were 5 members of the estate, and according to the packet that we received, we only have a certified letter that was sent to one of the surviving members of the estate. It did not include anyone else's information. So that went into part of my decision to tear down the property. But going back, and after I talked to Ms. Jones that morning, she mentioned that the house or apartment that the certified letter was sent to, the sibling did not live at that address. So there were, I think there's still 3 of them still alive, but our packet only showed a certified letter going to one, and she did not live at that address. And apparently she hadn't lived at that address maybe like a year and a half prior to us sending that. And then I did not see in the packet where we sent a certified letter to any of the other members, a part of that estate. And in this email here, it said that there were 5. So that went into the decision-making process as well, because this is all we had. And if this is what we have, that's what we make our decision on. Based, it looks like as if they had not communicated, and then that we had reached out to the decision makers in that family, even though it only shows that we had 1. Also going back with Mr. Boyd and talking to him, well, no, let me get off of that. I got a bunch of notes I was making while you were talking. One of the issues I had the next day was the new process that we have in place as far as the application is concerned. So once Mr. Boyd sent that email to us showing his correspondence with code enforcement, I went online to see where the dilapidated structure application was, where there was not one online. So I ended up questioning, and code enforcement did send it to all of us. And I know that they gave them basically a 24-hour turnaround to have this application done. Everyone saw the individuals that were here. They're elderly individuals. And so for them to have a 24-hour turnaround at that time to go over this process and fill out an application, because I think even in the process in this timeline that you talked through, where they spent several hours down here at code enforcement, and I think talking to Mr. Boyd, he had spent many hours talking to them, you know, just trying to help them through this process. So it's a new process, and I think with this being such a new process, and then I think some responsibilities have been moved from code enforcement to planning, we got a new process, and I think I even mentioned before that maybe we need to kick the application process and some of these steps back to committee so that we're educated as a governing body as to how this process works, and then possibly also if we can help educate our constituents, because this has been a hot topic. And so they went over to to planning, and obviously planning, this is all new to them. They were saying, they even told them, hey, this is all new to us as well. So I think with this being such a sensitive issue and a hot topic, I just think, again, I'm gonna say we need to extend some grace to some of these older people in our community with these processes, especially when you're talking about using technology, changing up processes and changing up steps that I have no clue what the changes are, and I'm sure if we don't know, the public don't know. And like I said, that even that day, I think there was some correspondence. I was like, where do I find this application? And I know we extended them to some time until yesterday, but we did just have the holidays and everything else is going on. And I think even Ms. Jones mentioned to me that, that she had been under the weather and her siblings had been under the weather. So again, I think you take into consideration all of those things when we're making a decision. And I think it's gonna be important that this body here go back and look at the steps and the processes to make sure that everything is tightened up, make sure we're following what we need to do to take care of these people. Because we can it doesn't mean anything to some people, because I think from their standpoint, this is a 100-year-old home, and if we just raise our hands to tear down their property, it's not gonna mean anything, but to them, it may mean the world. And I think we need to, as a governing body, kick this back, make sure we sit down with planning, make sure we sit down with code enforcement, sit down with you, Andrew, to go through our process to make sure we have this tightened up and that all of us are educated on it, make sure we can educate the public, because we don't need to have any missteps or issues with anyone's property, because I did talk to them as well. They have already invested about $15,000 to $20,000 into tearing down some of those other structures around the house. So it's not as if they haven't been trying, but again, they are older and then they do have other issues, but I just think it's time for us as a governing body to tighten up our process and make sure we're doing right by the people moving forward. So I don't know if we need to see some demolition until we rework this process and work through this and move forward.
Any other questions for Mr. Odom?
And Counselor Jackson, I will address just briefly the notice issue. So per the state code, what we're required to do for dilapidated structures is send it to the tax address of record. So that is what is done. And I know I was asked specifically about this property early on in the process, because it was a state property, and of course there's numerous heirs. So with that, in addition to sending it to the tax notice, I advise code enforcement follow the rules of civil procedure, run publication as well, which is a common method used in the legal world to provide notice when there are numerous heirs to a specific piece of property. But I agree, it is a new process and we're trying to work through it. And I think communication is key, and good faith steps moving forward. That's going to be what it takes.
Any other questions for Mr. Odom? Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that, Counselor Jackson and city councilors. We will work with the property owners once again to ensure that they understand the process. And the new process that we're talking about here is actually giving them some additional grace. It's actually giving, in my opinion, a broader safety net for them but it's also giving protection to the city, city councilors and others as well, because there have been some cases where someone comes in, gets a building or demolition permit, mostly a remodeling permit maybe, and they don't do anything with it. Then they come back, and that's how the politics gets involved in here. And I have to say that our code enforcers, our planning department, all very professional. They are human as well. And I think listening to some of this timeline, you can actually hear how human they are because they're giving them additional time, trying to work with them. I know Sally Owens in the planning department over there, I think she spent more than 4 hours with the Joneses or the 103 owners there. And so there has been a lot of additional time trying to help them through this process. But rest assured that we will work with them again to ensure they understand the process. However, the council has already authorized staff to take action on this address, but we will work with them because once any structure, vehicle, whatever it might happen to be, whenever it's demolished, you cannot bring it back. So we want to make certain we follow all the processes, but the new process, and I'm saying this for others out in video land, the new process actually adds additional safety nets out there for whatever property owners there are. As far as 107 7th Street, staff has been directed by council to gather and provide additional documentation. This information will be brought back to the council just as soon as possible. Councilors, I have received documentation from our library regarding the cost stabilization needs of the building. The estimated cost is approximately $375,000 to $400,000. I have an exact price on that. I've passed along to Council President here. But, Mr. President, how would you like to proceed on this matter?
So being a matter of urgent need, I would like to, at this point, go ahead and pass that to the Facilities Committee, which Councilman Jackson chairs, and then hopefully have them review that and have a solution or a resolution ready by the next meeting, if that's possible.
And I would like to say again for others listening, this is basically a stabilization process. It is, the building will still be unlevel in that corner, still be some additional work. What I have picked up from some library staff is what they would like to do is actually, if there will be a larger, greater plan down the road, building an additional square footage area in front of this building, some that was discussed when we were on site a few weeks ago, they would like to leave this area as storage. And that way you don't have to spend the additional money to levelize it and open it up to the general public. So they see that in a positive manner for this, which will save us some monies along that line. But again, to my recommendation, because as it was discussed many, many times with Councilor Strickland, where this library process would be recognized as education. And I actually hope that council will utilize some of that money for this project and hopefully the next round of project to increase the square footage of the library. And again, I guess for the record, I would prefer a new building itself. Remove this one, but there has been a lot of studies looking to see where could it be built, and then also I guess basically the sands of time, we're not standing still for anyone. So
Yes, sir.
I'll wait for Councilor Jackson to call that meeting. Councilors, some of our history of North Highland Park has been lost to the sands of time. And I mention this because it's been brought to my attention that the city received federal funds in the 1970s, which designated NHP as an LWCF park. And in accordance with federal requirements, I will have the appropriate plaque installed on site just as soon as possible. I know there's been a lot of reason why I say it's been lost to the sands of time for a while. I thought forever and ever that we, the city, owned the park. Then come to find out in 2016 or so, we, the city, did not own it. The North Highland Community Center thought they owned it, and come to find out the Board of Ed owned it. And as research was done, I believe it was in the late 50s or so, the Board of Ed was renting the property to the city of Prattville. But, so that park, and we have found some other documentations where I think it was in the 80s, we were told we need to put up a plaque. And so that has not gotten done, but we will get that done just as soon as possible. Additionally, we're not being able to locate any documentation indicating that North Highland Park, Newton Park, Vista Point, or the Grove were ever formally approved by the City Council. We need to have further discussions on this, especially considering the ordinance before the council tonight. And also, Councilor Langley, you requested that I send this council the city attorney's comments regarding the pay plan. After reviewing the matter, I realize these comments are already part of the official council record, voted on November the 11th, 2025, so each of you should already have that information. Councilors, I want to briefly note, as we see tonight, a seating adjustment for our city attorney. After hearing feedback from some city councilors, the city attorney sitting beside the mayor is not a neutral look. He has decided to relocate his seating. We should avoid undue pressure, as this is not reflective of the professional standards that should guide our work. Our attorney's role is to provide impartial legal advice to the council and the administration, not to navigate individual preferences or political pressures. I respectfully ask that we uphold a professional environment that allows him to perform his duties without interference. Also, I'd like to ask some questions about agenda item number 2, if I might, because there are so many questions about previous names that I recently mentioned. Newton Park, North Highland Park, Vista Point, the Grove. Will there be a work session on this? Is there a plan for that? Because reading it over, and there are some activities planned in some of these areas, the Grove, for example, car shows, the farmer's market, and so forth. Reading the ordinances I've interpreted, any publications about the Grove, any publication we might have about Vista Point, I guess basically any publication about North Highland Park and Newton Park. And they have not been voted on that we can find records on. We have found records on so many others, but not these, and there might be some others out there. So there are sometimes, with legislative acts, sometimes there can be some unforeseen consequences, and I don't want to see that moving forward. So, will there be a work session? Will there be grandfathered in of names?
Yeah, there's no plans for a work session at this time.
Okay.
Having gone through the ordinance and looking at it, there is an opportunity, I believe, for us to ratify and affirm names that are in place and have been used. If that be the case, it would come as a individual case by case on those if we determine they are not or have not been officially named.
Well, if this is approved tonight and gone through the proper steps, the ordinance is approved tonight, gone through the proper steps, and there is some publications out there, because I know different departments have different mail-outs about different activities going on, and that might be in violation of the ordinance. What guidance do I have from the council?
I guess that would be, Mr. Odom, is it proper to discuss the ordinance with it not before us?
Yeah, I think this would probably be better placed in the discussion portion when this is before us. And, at that point, feel free to answer the mayor's questions regarding it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, just as a reminder, Spillway Park, we'll have a ribbon cutting Thursday at 6:30. Our Christmas tree lighting Thursday at 7 p.m. Christmas parade Friday at 7 p.m. And Council President, that concludes my report.
Yes, sir. At this time, are there any questions from the council for the mayor?
Yes, two quick questions. I know, I just sent you guys an email about trying to set up a meeting, facilities meeting to discuss the library. Now, you just mentioned, using money from the education to address the library. What's your thought process on that?
Again, there's been many discussions with former council, Counselor Striplin, and I think it was very well noted, talked about openly about how important education is, and the library was recognized as an education component, and also the Genovations called at the time, I think it's now called the Pratt, and I think both of those were highly discussed where those should be recognized as education components. I believe that's a part of the spirit of that ordinance.
And I ask that just because I know with the education being a hot topic and how we spend money, just from your perspective, because, I mean, if we end up going that route, you know, there are gonna be tons of questions asked of the seven of us, and of course, including you, you know, why did you guys decide to use money for the library from the education pot and not the facilities pot?
Well, I'll be glad to give you my personal opinion on that if that's what you're asking for.
Yeah,
Like my
sure.
personal
Yeah.
opinion? Well, my personal opinion is I live, work, and navigate around downtown and all over Prattville. I go down Doster Road, Doster Street, Pratt Street, Washington Street, you know, all that whole area. Probably quite a bit more than the average person listening right now or in this room. And I see all the traffic that is over there at the library. I have been to several functions where there's a lot, it might be very surprising to a lot of folks how large of a homeschool-based students that we have here in town. I think they use a lot of the library resources. But then also we have a lot of seniors that I see down there utilizing some of the technology with the computers and so forth. And it's also a social gathering place for some. So it's a very, which to me is also a part of education as well. Some of our social skills, soft skills has been known, has been lost to, I guess, the sand of times again. But so to me, it's very important. I see it as a key component of education for those various reasons and many more I could come up with.
And my last question, you know, with all the talk on social media, people coming here discussing with the naming situation, you've sat in this role that we've been in, I don't know, how many terms did you do?
1.5 on the council.
Okay. And it's just challenging, you know, with the naming and, you know, with us voting it down, then people are saying, you know, they're still promoting it, even though you guys voted it down. But from your perspective, how should we address those concerns from the perspective as a council member when our constituents are saying, hey, you guys voted this down, but they're still promoting it on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, you know, as if we don't have the power. So how do you suggest we attack and, well, not attack, but respond to those inquiries and concerns from our constituents when this type of, with this type of issue that we have before us?
Well, I think you can explain to them the mayor is waiting in the spirit of cooperation. When I received a letter, we looked into ways that I thought we could honor some of the letter that was sent to me by the council president. The 3 trees that were put up there that seemed to be in question, and again, definitely not $10,000. That's some Facebook land numbers there and everything else. But and to go in a little more detail on that one, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
There's several projects that we have before us in the very near future. Some are in various areas of the community. Some are, I just put it that way. But the 3 trees are in question. They can be easily replanted, repurposed, recycled in a very positive way in another area of Prattville. But as soon as the council gives us some clear directions on what to do As far as the name, we'll be glad to move forward with it.
And I'm glad you brought up the trees. I forgot about those. Did they cost 10,000? Because I've got so many calls and texts, and I'm
No,
like,
sir.
I have no clue.
Would you like to know how much?
Sure.
They're approximately $225 apiece. But again, we have plans for future use of those. Just like we have recycled, repurposed. We, the city, put up a swag chain fence over here by the primary school years and years ago, and the Board of Ed has replaced that with a more of a modern-looking full fence, and they gave us the swag chain back, and we have it being repurposed for another project. So we, I'm very proud of our staff. We seem to pinch pennies very, very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the mayor? Okay.
Thank you.
Not necessarily a question, but I would like to discuss with you this week the possibility of possibly getting the planning director, maybe code enforcement directors or people that are over code enforcement together to look at, after the first of the year, of course, to get the holidays out of the way, maybe to have a council work session to completely look at the entire process, the ordinances associated with the process, discuss all the different facets of it to make sure that we are clear on it. And then that would give us the information necessary to determine whether there needed to be maybe some changes to the process or some changes to the ordinance itself. But we can discuss that.
Be glad to, or don't want to pick on our city clerk over here or her staff, but, you know, be glad to meet with you anytime, like we have been meeting on a semi-regular basis, but be glad to set up, have some city staff to set up a meeting for the future look at those different ordinances.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, this time we'll move into reports from the council on special committees. Councilor Newman.
Nothing at this time.
Councilor Jackson? No. Councilor Chambers?
No, sir.
Councilor Merrick?
No, sir.
Councilor Stritchick? No. Councilor Langley?
Yes, not necessarily a report from a committee meeting, but I do want to acknowledge our sanitation department. And on Friday, when we were all off work, our sanitation workers were hard at work at 6:30 that morning, and I appreciate that. And Tracy, you're always here in that back seat back there, and just give your guys a big thank you from the city of Prattville for going the extra mile and for working when we're not. We're sleeping late, and they were out slinging trash, and it was cold outside. So thank you very much.
All right, and I have none. Tonight, we have the opportunity to create a consent agenda. There are 10 items to be considered on this agenda, and they are as follows. Number one, a resolution to authorize the mayor to have overgrown grass and weeds at 356 Booth Lane, 809 Dozier Avenue, and 221 Lee Drive abated and charge any incurred expenses for the abatement process pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Resolution number two, to authorize the city attorney to affix the cost for the removal of garbage and rubbish at 464 Dawson Street. Item three is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 505 Mockingbird Court a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Item number four is a resolution to authorize the city attorney to affix the cost for the removal of stagnant water and garbage and rubbish at 105 Griffith Avenue. Item number five is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 1406 Longview Heights Road a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Now, item number six is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 321 Martin Luther King Drive a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Item number seven is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish and stagnant water at 725 Hillcrest Drive a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Item number 8 is a resolution to declare the garbage and rubbish at 462 West Drive a public nuisance and authorize the mayor to abate and charge any incurred expenses pursuant to Chapter 46, City of Prattville Code of Ordinances. Item number 9 is a resolution to appoint Elizabeth Page Hartley to the Historic Preservation Commission. And item number 10 is a resolution to appoint Counselor Wade Newman to the Planning Commission. All right, do I hear a motion to create a consent agenda? Motion made. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Jackson. All in favor of creating a consent agenda, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Any abstain? Consent agenda is now before us. Do I hear a motion to adopt the consent agenda? So moved. All right, motion is made by Counselor Jackson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Newman. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? All right, not hearing any. All in favor of adopting consent agenda, please raise your right hand. All opposed, like sign, and any abstain. And the consent agenda is adopted. We'll now move into our regular agenda. Item number 1 on our regular agenda is an ordinance to rezone property located inside the corporate limits at 1320 Old Ridge Road East from FAR, Forest Agriculture Recreational District, to INST, which is Institutional District. Petitioner is Central Alabama Community College. This was introduced on 11/4/2025, and this ordinance is now properly before us. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? All right, not hearing any. All in favor of this ordinance signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed, like sign? And any abstain? The ordinance is adopted. Second item on the agenda is an ordinance to establish City of Prattville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council, Division 3, setting procedures for the naming and renaming of municipally owned properties. Councilor Langley, will you introduce this ordinance by title only?
I thought you just did that.
Yes, and you, yeah.
Do it again. To establish an ordinance to establish the City of Prattville Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council, Division 3, setting procedures for the naming and renaming of municipally owned properties. So moved.
All right, we have a motion.
Thank you.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Counselor Newman. As a point of order for this ordinance to be considered tonight, it will require suspension of the rules. Do I hear a motion to suspend the rules? So moved by Counselor Jackson. Second? Seconded by Counselor Newman. Madam Clerk, will you conduct a roll call vote?
Counselor Newman?
Yes.
Counselor Jackson? Yay. Counselor Chambers? Yay. Counselor Merritt?
Yay.
Counselor Whaley?
Yes.
Counselor Stritchett? Counselor Langley?
Yes.
All right. We do have a motion to suspend the rules, and this ordinance is now properly before us. Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to get some questions answered that you had in regards to what's the plan and name of any city-owned properties like Retro Wing and things that, like, we started getting in that conversation. I'd like to kind of continue that and see what everybody has as far as what they're thinking on that.
Mr. Odom, as far as the legalities of the ordinance as it is written, would there be a process for ratifying and affirming names that are already there? Would it cause issues with names that are being used that were not approved through the council, through a council action?
Council President, so currently the ordinance does apply to all municipally owned property. I mean, that would include properties, some of the ones the mayor mentioned, Vista Point Park, the Grove, other properties that did not go through the council approval process. I do note under Section 3-4, subsection 5, it does have an avenue for revocation of an existing name. And just kind of thinking through this, one of the ways that could be done is compile a list of all currently named properties that did not go through the official naming process, and perhaps do a resolution, one resolution that just listed all of those, ratified and affirmed all of those. But I think in the interim, the mayor did bring up a good point about the publication that has gone out for some of those, and how this ordinance would affect that. So, I mean, of course, the council would be free to carve out any exceptions to that, and list properties that would be subject to that exception, or properties that would not be covered by that exception.
Okay, so I guess what I'm hearing you say is that if we pass the ordinance as it is now, we're not going to continue to use one name that is not supposed to be used. We're going to use multiple names that are not supposed to be used because of the passing of the ordinance now.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, are there any other comments or questions?
Any amendments that you might suggest that would help us out with this tonight?
I think a clear and concise amendment that could not create a lot of confusion would be to put something such as, if a property has not previously been named by the council but has been in existence for more than 6 months, then that would be accepted from section 3.4, subsection 4. Of course, that would cover Vista Point Park, the Grove, things of that nature, if my timing is correct.
So, can I make a comment?
Sure.
So, the intent of this is for housekeeping. That's what the intent of this is for, is to make sure we get a process in place, because, we have a textbook example right here with the one that we're dealing with, and now many others of why we need a process. If there was ever an example, we have it in front of us. This isn't an attempt to defame or demean or sink any of the parks and recs or public facility names in the city. We just want to do housekeeping. This is actually probably a really good time to do this. Under 3-4 subsection, or number 1, the official naming and renaming of municipality-owned property shall be approved by the council resolution during a regular. I would think we could bring in an amendment. I have an amendment here now. They could quickly write an amendment in the same manner tonight to bring forward that would address anything that has been pre-existingly named, because we have authority to go back and rename something. So even if we did a carte blanche approval of existing names, and then say in another month or 2 or 3, we realize one of those isn't accurate, or we have an issue with it, we can come back and address it, because it's in this ordinance that we can do that. So I don't see an issue with amending this with a quick amendment that addresses pre-existing named facilities and parks and so forth, staying like they are and becoming official now. And then if we do find something that's an issue, we address it, like the ordinance gives us the authority to do now.
I appreciate that, and I'd also just mention that my main concern too has been like with the Christmas season coming up, events, things like this that people are trying to put out there on social media that are going to use those names that we technically have not approved.
I completely agree.
That's why I'm asking that, is because is that going to get us in any kind of, corner, or do we need to try to do something to try to at least temporarily clean that up, so we can, if these locations or these people want to have some events at these locations, that they can use that name and they can put that out there, and nothing's coming back on us after we approve this, or if we approve this.
Again, we should be able to address that carte blanche tonight before we approve it, adding a line that says pre-existing parks names remain in effect and become official, words to that effect, upon the passage of the resolution. And then if we do find a problem with one, we now have the authority through this name process to go back and make a correction to it. You know, I personally don't want Newton Park to not be called Newton Park, for example, or Farmers Grove. I have no issue with those, but if we did find an issue.
But if they're gonna have an event at Newton Park, we need to make sure
Yeah,
we're
we
covered.
address
That's
it.
what I'm trying to address.
Yeah, we address it tonight with an amendment to the ordinance. We should, if we can do that. If we can do that, then yeah, I'd like to do that. Because I agree with Counselor that Chambers, that we should fix it. You know, that's what this is for, is an administrative cleanup.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, so I'm not totally confused on this. Anything that's named right now is going to stay the name? Or are you saying with this, there's an option to change that name somewhere down the road?
So I'm
And
saying,
if someone brings it up to change it, we vote on whether or not it's changed.
so.
It has to be unanimous.
Yeah, and the issue is, we have things that are in a mixed state right now, we're finding. We have some things that have been officially named and some things that haven't been. And this ordinance, when we put it into effect, needs to fix that. It's an administrative housekeeping ordinance. It's to say all these parks are officially named what we've been calling them, and we have a process now going forward on how we'll name all facilities. And in this ordinance, we can rename something if we want to. So if, for example, tonight we pass it with the two amendments that we want to put in there, the one about making them official tonight, and the other one that I have, then we would be set on all names. They'd all be official. And if, for some reason, you didn't like Newton Park, and you brought it up, and we all unanimously agreed, we could change the name of the park. We have the authority to do that now. The way we exist now, we have a hodgepodge of officially named and unofficially named parks, and we need to clean it up. And that's what we would do with this ordinance. And adding that amendment to make them official tonight would fix that and allow us to address it in the future. I didn't realize we had so many that weren't officially named
Yeah.
until the mayor brought it up.
And I'm on the same line. I just want to make sure, again, that we're covered and people will be safe to be able to use these names if they're going to have events, and that nothing's going to come back on the council for that.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
if I might, thank you. Yes, also, not only protect the council, our citizens, but also the employees, because I have heard, because I guess for the record, staff and I have not been a part of any of this. That's why I'm asking some of the questions. But, you know, what I've heard from other elected officials is that there's been one attempt to put a name on the agenda. There's also been some talk about terminating employees if they advertise some. And I mean, this is just, I think the process has not been well thought out. But again, too, I have not been on the inside, even though I suggested that welcome to be a part of it. But I know this is council action, but sometimes when you have some internal input, and I'll say that there's been very, very, very little internal input on this outside of the council. Again, I don't know what the council's been doing, but I need to make certain that our city employees are not going to be having to be worried about their jobs.
No, sir,
And I
none
know
of that
how-
language is in here.
How easy it can be that, I guess basically one way to put it, put the cart before the horse. And
So can I
so-
address some of that?
Yes, sir, Councilman Newman.
So it is true, there have been, since I've been elected, at least, I have attempted to put something together that would be functional for the city to use and streamlined, effective and efficient. And I worked really hard on it. And there's been several iterations. Paula can attest to this. And Andrew as well. Several iterations where I've started from a base and spitballed a few things and passed some things around, asked for feedback from every counselor, trying to do something that we could get fixed as quickly as possible. And yes, there have been some, I personally said, if, we need to put some teeth in it. If somebody does something they shouldn't, maybe they should be terminated. I did say that. Then I realized it didn't need to go in there because we already have processes in place to deal with terminating employees, so I took it out. And yes, I haven't ran it by anybody but the counselors because we were trying to get our act together to present it. And that's what we have tonight, is what I think is a really good ordinance that addresses what the council can do in naming and administratively ensuring that we have a streamlined, professional, thorough, good process in place. I do have one amendment that I want to add that I've been working on today, which I think will address the things, Mr. Mayor, that you're talking about. Gives the council the flexibility to work with the city in a way, because I had a military mindset around laying this out in the ordinance, which was not the right way to do this, so I took that back. We've got one amendment that will give us the authority to work with the city and come up with a solution where we collaborate. So I'd like to work with that when we're ready to go with that.
So is there an amendment for the previous named, we were discussing that, is that something we're not ready to introduce yet?
I mean, we can do that for tonight, though, right?
Yeah, we
That
can,
amendment.
we can enter the amendment.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, do you need more time on that?
Yeah, maybe a 5-minute recess to just get the wording correct.
I have,
Yeah.
does anybody have any issue with a 5-minute recess? I have no problem with that. It's 7:21. We will reconvene at 7:26. You can, yeah.
The whole, not just like a line item. Addition like that, yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go to your office.
Make sure you got a copy.
Paused. All right, ready? All right. We are reconvening at 7:32. Took a little longer than 5 minutes. All right, we will continue discussion on agenda item number 2.
I'd like to offer up an amendment, if I may, please.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to amend line 29, on, I guess it's page 2, to say, existing informal names are accepted from section 3 to 4, 3, 4, 3, and 4, until officially named, renamed, or ratified by resolution of the council in accordance with this ordinance.
Is that in the form of a motion?
I'll motion that, yes, thank you.
All right, so that, a motion to amend with the amendment in writing has been made by Councilor Chambers. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Councilor Merritt. All right. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend?
I have a question about it, just as it's written. Existing informal names, what exactly does that mean? And does the structure across the street, it seems to have an informal name or an unauthorized name, is that an unauthorized name or an informal name? I don't want to blanket this one in under the name it is, that's been unapproved by doing this. You understand what I'm saying? Would that catch 22 us is what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the only way would be to specifically list the address, if you want to carve that out as an exception.
I mean, my viewpoint is it has not been named, so it's not an informal name, even though the name is still being used. It's not an authorized name. So I'm hoping that existing informal names does not capture the one we're trying to name. It's the only one that hasn't been named, so it doesn't have a informal name, does it? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So I guess I'm just asking. I don't want to blanket that one in because we're dealing with it. I want to blanket all the others in.
So do you make the amendment stating existing informal names are accepted, yada, 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 in accordance with this ordinance, except 124 West Main Street?
Or would we even need to do that? Is it an informal name, I guess, is it fall into the category of an informal name, I guess is the question I'm asking. Because if it doesn't, then we're fine.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I made the suggestion existing 6 months prior.
Okay.
I think that would kind of cover that, if you didn't want to specifically list an address.
I guess I would just ask, how do you guys, I mean, anybody else have any thoughts on it? Because that's the only one that's not officially named, and I don't know, even though it's been going by the name that it was started with, I don't want it to fall in the informal category while we're trying to deal with that one.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't seem like adding that would do anything but to clarify and to be more specific, and I think that's a great idea to do that.
Okay, that is your motion to amend.
Are you referring to putting the address in there?
I'm fine with that.
Or
I just,
with the exception of this particular address? That's fine by me.
if we have to do that,
Yeah.
that's, I guess, all I was asking.
I'd like to make that motion to add that as well.
All right, would you mind rereading it?
What was the address, what?
Hold, just one point of order.
Okay.
Does he need to withdraw his second, Andrew, since we have seconded that?
I think proper procedure would be to vote on the initial amendment, vote it down, and then make another amendment and read it in exactly how it needs to be voted on.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So we have a motion, a second discussion.
we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. This is on the original amendment as it is printed before us, which does not omit 124 West Main Street. Right, so all in favor of the amended motion signify by raising your right hand. All right, all opposed, like sign. And any abstain? Okay, and that amended motion, the amendment fails, all right?
Okay, I'd like to offer up another motion for amendment. Again, line 29, stating existing informal names excluding 124 West Main Street, Prattville, Alabama, are accepted from section 3 to 4, 3 and 4, until officially named, renamed, and ratified by a resolution of the council in accordance with this ordinance.
All right, we do have the motion, and it is in writing now. Is there a second? Yes. Yes, 24 was added in there. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Newman. All right, any discussion on this amendment?
I just want to make it clear, the only reason I'm asking for that acceptance is to make sure it goes through the process the right way and that we bring the rest up to code. Not to slight it or diss it. We're dealing with it, so I'd rather deal with it.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, so all in favor of the amendment as it has been read and seconded, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Any abstain? And the amendment passes. All right, are there any further discussion or amendments to be offered?
Yes, I want to add an amendment to page 2, the line after point 6 under section 3-4, which would be number 7. And I pass it out to everybody. I don't know if you have it or not. Paula took it from you, I think. But I can read it in. It's, the council has the authority to create committees, panels, or adopt additional procedures as necessary to effectuate and administer the intent of this ordinance. Make a motion that we accept that amendment.
So we have a motion for that amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Langley. All right, is there any discussion on this amendment?
I just want to bring out the reason I added this amendment was my initial intent was to write a one-size-fits-all process. And I realized that cannot be done because even trying to manage the timeline would be very difficult. An ordinance is like a law, and if we wanted to do it in 30 days, then we have to have a public meeting and all these things, it would make it very difficult to do. So my second approach was to add this amendment to the ordinance, which basically gives the council the ability to create committees or panels or adopt additional procedures from this ordinance as needed. So there's a difference in dealing with a fire station, for example, and naming that as there is a public venue, for example, naming that. So this gives us leeway as a council to say we might want to have just the fire chief provide names to us on a fire station. But we may want to have the mayor in his office and he can put together 10 people to decide how to name something. Or whatever we want to do, this gives us the ability to work through that because naming these facilities is not a one-size-fits-all. There's fire stations, there's sanitation buildings, there's, whatever. So that's what this does, is gives us the ability to pass this ordinance and then flex as needed when we're dealing with something we need to name. It may be a simple process for some buildings that the mayor's office, executive office can recommend to us, or that said department can, whatever we want to do. This gives us the flexibility to do that. That's my intent.
All right, is there any other discussion on this motion to amend? All right, not hearing any. All in favor of this motion to amend, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Any abstentions? All right. So now we have, is there any other discussion or amendments to be brought before this ordinance as amended? All right, so now we have the amended ordinance properly before us. Is there any discussion on this ordinance as amended?
I do want to make one more comment. This has been a very thorough vetting by several of us on the council. We've talked about it back and forth and made different adjustments. And I think what we have in front of us is a very streamlined, proficient, robust, and thorough ordinance to deal with naming going forward. And that's all I want to say.
Any other discussion on the amended ordinance? All right, all in favor of the amended ordinance, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed, like sign. Any abstain? All right, this ordinance is adopted. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 3, to authorize the mayor to enter into a construction agreement with the State of Alabama Department of Transportation, ALDOT, for Industrial Access Project, Bowen Way Roadway Widening and Resurfacing Project, number IAR-001-000-013, CPMS number 100081255, to benefit Project Magnolia at a total cost not to exceed $1,183,000, net cost to the city, 0. Councilor Langley, will you introduce this resolution?
Yes, sir. To authorize the mayor to enter into a construction agreement with the State of Alabama Department of Transportation, ALDOT, for Industrial Access Project, Bowen Way Roadway Widening and Resurfacing, project number IAR-001-000-013, CPMS number 100081255, to benefit Project Magnolia at a total cost not to exceed $1,183,000, the net cost to the city, $0. So move.
And you have to read the.
Read the entire thing
Yes.
this time?
Yes, thank you.
I'm learning, guys, sorry.
You're fine.
Whereas in Resolution Book 2025-A, page 216, on July 15th, 2025, the City Council of the City of Prattville authorized the city to apply to ALDOT for Industrial Access Road, IAR, grant funding for roadway improvements in South Industrial Park, and whereas the city was awarded $1,183,000 in funding, and whereas the state of Alabama, acting by and through ALDOT, and the city of Prattville desires to enter into a construction agreement to widen and resurface Bowen Way to benefit Project Magnolia at a total cost not to exceed $1,183,000, net cost to the city, $0 with said funds. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville enter into said agreement with ALDOT for the Industrial Access Project, widen and resurface Bowen Way from County Road 4, approximately 1,300 square feet, project number IAR-001-000-013, CPMS number 100081255. Be it further resolved that the City Council does hereby authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to carry out the purpose and intent of this resolution, and that it be attested by the city clerk and the seal of the city affixed thereto. Be it further resolved that upon completion of the execution of said agreement by all parties, that a copy of said agreement shall be kept on file by the city clerk, adopted this second day of December 2025. So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Seconded by Councilor Jackson. Is there any discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Any abstain? And this resolution is adopted. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 4, to authorize the release of funds for the purchase of one 2026 Caterpillar 308 excavator through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, contract number 011723-CAT, from Thompson Tractor Company Incorporated, for wastewater at a cost not to exceed $130,465. Councilor Chambers, will you introduce this resolution?
Yes, sir. Whereas wastewater has identified a need to purchase one 2026 Caterpillar 308 excavator, and whereas said equipment is available through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative, contract number 011723-CAT, from Thompson Tractor Company Incorporated, at a cost not to exceed $130,465. Whereas this is a budgeted expense for the wastewater enterprise fund, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prattville that funds in the amount not to exceed $130,465 for the purchase of said equipment are hereby authorized and approved to be paid to Thompson Tractor Company Incorporated, and said funds are approved and appropriated from fiscal year 2026 budget line item wastewater enterprise fund / capital outlay. So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Seconded by Counselor Jackson. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed, like sign, and any abstain? And this resolution is adopted. Resolution number 5, to support renovations for the first and third floors of 124 West Main Street. Counselor Newman, will you introduce this resolution?
Sure, whereas the City Council, the City of Prattville works through with the City of Prattville Economic Development Team to attract and retain businesses, and whereas in Ordinance Book 2025, page 024, on July 15th, 2025, the City Council authorized the mayor to enter into lease agreements with various small businesses to operate in the incubator spaces at 124 West Main Street. And whereas several businesses have shown interest in occupying space at 124 West Main Street and requested renovations to suit specific needs, and whereas the said businesses desire to have support for said renovation prior to signing commitments. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Prattville supports renovations to first and third floors. Be it further resolved, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute any documents necessary to carry out this resolution. So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Seconded by Counselor Jackson. Is there any discussion on this?
I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask for, if that's possible, to the economic developer.
Yes.
So
Amy?
I just wanted to, I know this started in July of 2025, so I wanted to make sure that there was a couple of questions I asked to make sure we're straight on this, and one of them was, I've got 3. One was, what's the total expected cost of the renovations and who's paying for them?
Okay, council members, just some further information so the public, and there's no question as to what's being asked here. There are interested parties on the first floor, 2 of those at this time, and 1 on the 3rd floor. All 3 of those spaces, one has already been renovated downstairs, so that one is ready to go. The other one is on the external wall, and that particular franchise owner is interested in putting a franchise in that facility, but as you know, you've been in that facility, it is not currently in a state of occupying for a restaurant, which is what's interested there. So there are renovations needed to get it up to par. On the 3rd floor, same thing. There's an office space that has expressed interest. All of these will be rent-paying customers, as well as the renovation cost. A portion of that will be paid back in the rent, and on the 3rd floor, there will be partial funds paid back in monthly payments. So those renovation costs will be bid because it is over the threshold, and that will come before the council to award funds once the bids come out and we know exactly what the funds are.
That answers the other 2 questions I had. Do we have tenant commitments, which you just answered, and will the lease agreements come back before the council?
So the leases themselves will be signed as appropriate by the mayor. We vet each one of these. We look at their financial structure to make sure it's a good lease. We will not initiate any renovations until a permanent lease is signed to make sure that those lease dollars and renovation dollars are coming back in. The intent when this building was purchased, the bank facility, was to renovate and create a small business incubator, so all of the floors will become that with that opportunity, and create a revenue generation for that facility. So in a few years from now, we will start seeing a positive cash flow after paying for the renovations in the facility itself. Any other questions?
Any questions for Amy?
That answers all my questions.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions or discussion on this item? All right. Not hearing any. All in favor of this resolution, please signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed, like sign? And any abstention? All right. This resolution is adopted. At this time, the council will welcome comments from persons present. Have anyone who wishes to speak, line up in the middle aisle. You'll be called to legibly print your name and address. and you'll have up to 5 minutes to speak and to address the council. Please state your name and address first, and then you may begin to speak.
Jackie Nix, 706 Running Brook Circle, Prattville. I just want to thank you all. This has been the most transparent meeting I have been to, and I've been coming to these for almost 4 years. And watching the process as the agenda item number 2 with the ordinance of you guys working through that, congratulations, thank you. More of that. More of that. That was, I'm glad I was here to see it in person. Thank you so much. This is the transparency that we, the public, want to see, of watching you guys. You're working through it and, you know, bringing up the issues. And it was all done in front of us. That we've not had that before. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Don't forget to sign in, and then, once you've done that, then you can begin.
Ms. Barber, I've worked on that microphone for you, so it might work a little bit easier for you this time.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And I want to apologize for when I was at the last meeting, I forgot to say congratulations to all of you, incoming, newcomer. And I appreciate how y'all are addressing the meeting. I thank you all. But I have, you know me, I always have something to talk about. And I'm still, we got a letter at the North Highland Center for code ethnic about weed and shrubberies, whatever's all overgrown. The thing is that historical North Highland Recreation Center, that's not a legal group. But they sent it to the North Highland Community Center too. We sent this letter and see, it's on those 5 acres behind the North Highland Recreation Center, Memorial Community Center. So, I know we got to get some understanding of this because first of all, that group, when they changed the name of the Recreation Center, North Highland Recreation Center, it was illegally done. They supposedly did a quitclaim deed back to the North Highland Recreation Center, and it was never done. I don't know who's responsible for making it go back the way it is, those 5 acres that sits behind the 2 acres that we have. And then if he's talking about the weeds and stuff that are growing up, all up in there, and the brushes and stuff, you can go up there and clean it up. But the problem is, when you start cutting over there on the side where our building is we're gonna have erosion. Y'all need to come up there. You can go, first of all, I don't know why y'all wanna charge North Highland Recreation Center for cutting the weeds and bushes there. I don't understand that. And then the next problem is, if y'all want to cut it, we can't pay y'all. But y'all are welcome to go up there and clean it up, and then you're going to see where that water is irrigating, coming down, and it's going to have erosion on the side of our building. So I would love for every city council, the mayor, whoever group y'all want to have, come up there, go up there and clean it. I appreciate it. And then you're going to see what I've been fussing about. If that y'all keep cleaning it up there, then you're going to see where that water is running. And eventually our building going to probably slide on down over there. then y'all gonna have to pay us some more money. Y'all gonna owe us, we ain't owe you nothing. And I know my time is running out, I had a lot to say, but I definitely want to talk about that, and that, that y'all need to get whoever that historical group is, that's historical, that's not legal. Get it together. We definitely need to get it together. Because first of all, we got to be up under, that falls under North Highland. So that got to be done differently. And like I say, I really appreciate you all. I appreciate y'all listening at me. I have good comments sometimes, and I know I fuss a lot. I fuss because I care about our community. I care about our community. I'm not just saying, but just because I live in a black neighborhood. There's no such thing as all black or all white. Every neighborhood you got mixed people. And I care about our communities. I care about our city. I was born and raised in Prattville. And they call us African American. I don't know, but I don't think I know I'm a black American because I was born and raised right here in Prattville. So I care about what happened in Prattville. I care about whatever is going on, because when people come, they not looking at you African American or whatever descendant, Caucasian or whatever. They looking at how people are moving in, being neighbors to each other. And if you care about your community, you care about the city, if you can go in and do whatever y'all want to do, I know my time is up and I apologize, but we got to do better. If you all coming in, y'all said we're gonna work together, I'm ready for us to work together. It doesn't matter what neighborhood it in, but we need to start somewhere, and I'm still looking for, I would like to find out, I know it's gonna have to come at another time. I know the city always preparing for a project of a development in the next 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years down the road. I want to know how I can get it. I came down to talk to the mayor, but they was having a planning committee meeting that afternoon. The day I supposedly came, my daddy was sick. Then I started feeling, I had to go to the doctor the very next day. But when I did come, they had a planning committee, so I couldn't talk to them. But I'm still looking for the plans. Thank you.
Ms.
And I
Barber.
appreciate y'all letting me talk longer.
Yes. So, as far as the notification that was sent to you from code enforcement, just so I'm clear on it, are you saying that the name on the tax record is incorrect?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So that, of course, I would advise you to follow up with the mayor's office in the morning, and let's get with code enforcement. I know we don't change tax records, but are we sending it to the correct place with the correct name, I guess is my question. Even though the tax form or the tax is incorrect, we need to make sure that we're getting it to the correct people with the correct name, I would think. Is that, Mr. Odom, is that?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I'll be happy to meet with Ms. Robinson after, just to look up the address and see what it is listed on the tax records.
Okay, good, thank you. And then we can hopefully get that straightened out with code enforcement, or I guess somebody will have to straighten it out with the tax office. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head just then. That's really a county tax records office situation there, which Ms. Barber might have to go through some legal source to, or maybe take a ride over there and talk with the county tomorrow. And but you know, I did call you the other day, enjoyed our conversation, so
Yes, sir.
you come by anytime.
Okay, thank you. And if I come, I can come. I got to take my dad to the doctor in the morning, but after I get there with his appointment, I'll try to come down. And I know it is a legal matter, because then the courts, when they went to court on this, that group that went to court, they told them it was illegally, and they supposed to put it back into the North Highland Recreation Center.
Well, I'd recommend you check with the county first take your documents over there, and maybe they can straighten this out with a few clicks of a mouse.
Okay, because
Right.
this, okay.
And the only point I'm trying to make is that we, the city, and code enforcement don't, I mean, because if we send a notice and nothing is done, and then we start to take action, we're gonna be taking it against, the name on the tax record, which is incorrect, and I'm not sure that, you know, so if, I mean, I realize that it was sent to the right place, it's sent with the wrong name, so if we take legal action, that's the name that we're gonna use, because that's the name in the file, and we'll be taking action against somebody that don't even own the property, so. That was my only part. So we'll try to, if you'll talk with Mr. Odom after the meeting, we'll try to help you to
Yeah,
get.
because I got the deed where they had a quick claim, but it's supposed to be turned back, and they didn't do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to address the council?
Now, do you remember the name of the
I'm
group?
sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Name of the
Did
group?
quit claim?
Yes. It said the Historical North Highland Recreation Center Corporation, and that group is that outreach, reach one, teach one, whatever.
One community?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got all the names on the deeds that did this and signed it.
And they did the quit claim, and then the judge said that what they did was illegal?
Was illegal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, Mr. White.
I want to apologize for earlier because I didn't follow the proper procedure, so I'm going to do it this time. Reverend Dr. L. White II, 621 West 4th Street.
Thanks, sir.
I just want to say a quote by President Nelson Mandela. I had the opportunity to go to Africa just recently, and I learned a lot over there. President Nelson Mandela said, for to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. And I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons, not some, all persons, will live together in harmony with equal opportunities. He also stated, overcoming poverty is not a task of charity, it's an act of justice. I don't have to go and talk about President Nelson Mandela history, but I got a chance to go to Robben Island, look in the very cell, walked in the very cell that he spent his time in. We as a society that lives in a fortunate county where we rank number 4 per capita, need to look at our infrastructure. I have brought this up before, but since we got a new council, I want to bring it up again. We need to look at our mental health. What kind of facility? We cannot afford to take people over, law enforcement take them over to 31 on the other side of Montgomery and drop them off and think that's the answer. Lock them up in jail and think that's the answer. It's unfortunately some that's mental health, but as Councilman Newman and as myself, we have a lot of veterans that have mental illness because they didn't come back the same way they left. And to lock them up, that's an injustice. To throw them over on the other side of 31, that's an injustice. So I'm asking, if our new budgets don't come with new infrastructure on how to build a better hospital, how to take care of our mental ill, then are we doing a justice for all? With that being said, I want to thank the city for recognizing our veterans. However, I go around and look at every last one of them because I spent 25 years, 11 months, 11 days deployed 4 different times. The thing that we need to tighten up on is I shouldn't see the same pictures for Memorial Day, for Veterans Day, and Armed Forces Day. Because each one of those have a separate meaning. Armed Forces Day is for all active duty members, all active duty members. Memorial Day is for those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us to be where we at today. That means they lost their lives on foreign soil fighting for this country. Veterans Day is for everyone that got a honorable DD 214. It's just that simple. So I shouldn't see the same people on every last Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Armed Forces Day. And I do. You think I'm blind? Ask my wife. I go and look at every one of them every time. I go up and down 31. I come back through the city, Tishner Avenue, down Main Street, and then also over there by the creek. And now I see that they have some even over there in that venue over there. I just ask that we honor who is honored the right way. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Also ask, in the future, let's look at bringing industries that pay a living wage. Do your research. When you talk about medium salaries, you gotta look at medium, how statistical as a medium. It takes the highest salary, and so if the high boss making $500,000, lower person making $15 an hour, guess what? It's gonna look like he making $25,000, $30,000 an hour. But it's how many people at the top making the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and how many people at the bottom making the lowest. And that industry we talked about before, they ain't making but $15 an hour. So we need to look at that because you can't live in Prattville with $15 an hour. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is anyone else?
Chair, if I might, Mr. White, if you don't mind, a couple of comments here. And on the banners, I'd like to get with you one day to get a little more input from you, but you are a little bit incorrect about the same banners being up time and time again, because we actually we have so many of them, we have to rotate them out. And actually, this last time I had a few people that called me up to ask them about their banner, and I said, I'm sorry you weren't able to be put up this time. So there is procedures that we go through on that, and I would like to know a little bit more, because I've gotten some conflicting information, I believe, on some of it, but I'd like to get with you one day if you'd like to spend some time on that one. But now, what information do you have about your statement about the city of Prattville taking some of our mentally challenged on the other side of the 31? I mean, what information do you have there? Concrete information.
The concrete information I have is because I am doing the work. I go out there and feed the homeless with a group called Hope. If you think I'm lying, you can call over there and ask them. I go over there and feed the homeless over there throughout Montgomery, living in different cracks and crevices. And they ask me, where you from? And I say, Prattville. I'm also from Prattville. I said, so how did you get over here? I was let off on the other side of 31. I ain't saying it's every one of them, but I'm saying several of them have said that.
Did they say who let them off?
They didn't say what police officer or what county sheriff did it, but they did say a police officer or a county sheriff did drop them off.
Well, I want to guarantee the community here that the Prattville Police Department is not doing that.
Well,
that is rock solid information there.
I'm not making this up, and I have no reason to make this up, but I can tell you, you can talk to the people that goes out with me, and when they talk to me, they feel comfortable telling me that.
I can guarantee you my comment is true and accurate.
And I can also tell you that I have had some in the fatherhood class that was homeless, that we couldn't get them in right away, and they think I know they locked up. That I can't tell you for sure.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to sign in again?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead and sign it.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jessica Hayes. I live at 1954 Chancellor Ridge Road. And I want to say again, I want to echo what Jackie said and say thank you very much for what you did tonight. That was amazing to see in action, and I really appreciate the effort and the open and transparent nature that y'all operated within. In that vein, I want to ask if, just one simple question first before I get into my other stuff, is with those decisions made tonight, will those changes be reflected? Will this council have those changes reflected online, on the website, social media, marketing materials, or will it continue to operate in the way that it has been over the past few weeks? That's not something you have to answer right now, but that is something I would like you to think about, as the community deserves clarity and to understand that the authority rests with y'all. Next, I want to thank you all, because a few days ago, I took my son to Miller Park, over where we live, and we noticed the new picnic tables and the new benches, and it was really nice, so I really appreciate that. It is always nice to know that I can take him to a neighborhood park that is clean and well cared for and upgraded regularly. And I appreciate that these improvements came together without myself or anyone in District 4 having to show up to beg for them. Because there's another park that has had people begging for it for years. I think we all know what park that is. And I understand there's questions about everything, there's contract bids, but years of residents having to do it, and I show up one day at my park, and there's a new picnic bench. What's the difference? District 4 is the more affluent, upper middle class, and predominantly white neighborhood. And I didn't have to beg. And yet, week after week, or city council meeting after city council meeting, there are people here for years asking for the bare minimum, for reserve walls and basketball courts to be improved. We are continuing the same pattern that has always happened in Prattville history. And we have to stop it. And since I don't have to advocate for my district's parks and resources, I'm going to make it my mission to now advocate for those that are being ignored, that aren't getting the resources. Now, I understand recently there was the $70K contract bid out. That's awesome. I'm very excited about that. And I will be making sure every 2 weeks that, and at Parks and Rec meetings, and going up there with my own camera, and being very annoying, that will be done and that will be seen through. And it would be nice to be able to actually have tangible updates provided based off of those, based off that report. Because we need to know. They've begged for too long. And if I can show up and see a new picnic bench and new benches and play with my son happily, everyone else deserves that same right. So thank you.
Ms. Hayes, just real quick. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, go ahead. No. So I know the bid was awarded, and there was a timeline that was announced, I believe. The mayor said that in one of his reports. Councilor Stritchett, do you want to address that?
Yeah, it's, the bids process has began again, and takes time.
That's awesome.
You are aware there's been some work done up there already, aren't
Yes,
you? So
the
you didn't
pavilion.
mention any of that. You didn't mention about the bathrooms, the sidewalks, the fixing the pavilion, or any of the benches, or the new playground equipment that's
I
already been
understand, but there's
placed.
still people up here
But it's not that
saying
it's been
something.
neglected, kind of misled that a little bit. Things have been done up there. So I know that you got the bench over in Miller Park. Well, there's new benches also at North Highland Park and new things. Now, we're working toward more improvements. I've been on that for a long time, on other
understand.
projects. So I just want to clarify that.
I
It's
understand.
coming, I can guarantee you that.
And I do appreciate that. And I do appreciate that work, really, I do. But it can't be just left to not. I'm a manager, and I have to keep holding myself accountable. I'm a leader in my work. And it's not just enough just to be like, well, I did that already. You have to be held accountable. And I know, and I appreciate that, and the pavilion is beautiful. There's a lot of things, but it has also taken a lot of people bringing attention to it. And I didn't have to bring attention in my district. That's what the difference.
Okay.
Well, Ms. Hayes, I
appreciate you recognizing the benches and the picnic tables, because that's what I asked. And I want to thank Kelly, I want to thank you, Robert, for the things that you do on the Parks and Rec Committee. But yes, so I understand what your main point was tonight, but don't think that District 4 is just putting something out there, because there's a spot to put it. No. I push for that.
Yeah.
As I'm pushing for speeding, if you noticed, around both sides of Miller Park. And I'm trying to work on speed bumps for that. And that was my main goal when I
What about
started.
bathrooms? Sorry.
Well, no, that's okay. Let's talk about that after the meeting tonight, okay?
No, that's
No, we
great.
can talk about that, but the main thing, I have pushed for that to get some things done in regards to
I
speeding.
appreciate that very much.
Well, and I appreciate you, and your son enjoying out there.
Yes, he does. He loves
Very
Red Park, is what he
All
calls
right.
it.
Thanks, Ms. Hayes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Finnegan.
First of all, John Lee Finnegan, 211 Deer Trace. I want to thank you about doing that work meeting for all the, the procedures people have to go through when they're getting the dilapidated homes or the yards or something like that. In fact, one of the things from coming here is every time I hear an update on the 107, 106 7th Street, is the amount of permits they have to have. And I'm trying to think, adding up in my head, I go, it's this permit, this permit, this permit, this permit. So to have that and actually have a list, I would have no idea where to go and look for those on the city website. I haven't looked because I haven't had to, but I think having a work session open to the public and informing them, and then actually having a form and saying, this permit, is this amount, and this amount. That's always kind of surprised me about how many permits are necessary. And also, I think that maybe with some of these individuals, that maybe we can help them out financially. I don't know if there's a pot we can draw from, but really and truly, those add up. So I look forward to that very much so. Also, regarding the 124 West Main, I was looking at, when I came before you, I was reading, or I read the Owens Corning Project Agreement incentives, and one of those was number 7. It says, entering into a lease for office space during construction for less than fair market value. And I'm wondering if this bill is where the office space is going to be, and if that's on the 3rd floor, I don't know. But, if we're giving it away for less than fair market value, I think that that's something to be considered, because I don't know how long Owens Corning is going to take to be built, but they're taking up that leased space that we could actually be giving to someone else at full market value. So I don't know if that's where Owens Corning is going to have the office space, but if it is, I think that's something to consider. I really think it's unfair for other people that are going to be leasing the space that we've given them that incentive. And we have local people that, maybe want to use it. So also the restaurant, I don't know if you vet what's coming in there, but I sure hope you do. I don't know any idea what kind of restaurant, but it's a franchise. And so I'm kind of going, what are franchises? And so please consider that also, if you have the ability to do that. But again, excuse me, allergies. Thank you again for that, for having the, boy, my brain's not working. having the,
Work session.
yes, work session, thank you, yeah. I can tell I'm tired too, yard work. But anyway, thank you for that. Consider, and as I said, I don't know who I'd find out the information if that's where Owens Corning is going in. But again, I think it's something that needs to be considered, since we're giving it from less fair market value. And if you remember, I've asked for the costs that these are getting for Owens Corning. So I'd appreciate that. What the regular market value would be and what the current market value would be, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, sir.
Patrick Lucas, 1211 Caliber Crossing. I will be brief, but I want to recognize Ms. Finnegan. Sometimes people say, do you love Prattville? I watch her. Where we live, she's out there herself, digging, putting plants down, and I mean, it's just amazing. I don't care, it's 95 degrees out there. She's out there with her shovel, she got a bag. I stop, hey, sweetie. She come and she just go back to work. That's a true Prattvillian that loves Prattville. And sometimes people take it out of context because they say we complain but we love Prattville just like everybody else. And our complaints are coming from a good place regardless of how you may feel about it. But that's a prime example of somebody, her own time, her own resources. Where you turn in at Winchester Ridge, she digging, she putting flowers. So that says a lot. The other thing, and I piggyback of what they said, tonight has truly been a great experience. Watching all of you guys put your heads together. And that's all we've been wanting to see. Yeah, we get up here, but I still give kudos where kudos are due. You all got in and put your heads together, and that's all we're asking for as citizens, because we love Prattville just like you do. And all we want is what's best for Prattville. And so I want to thank y'all for that. One more question. Will that name stay up over there, or will it come down? I know it's been hidden since I heard it's not an official name. So will that continue to stay up? And if you can answer now, fine. If you can't, but it's just a question. Will it come down because it's not an official place? So, but again, I thank all of you.
All right, we'll see if we can find that out. All right, this time we'll move into closing comments. Mayor?
Yes, sir, thank you, and I appreciate the counselors who spoke up about our parks. Very proud of the accomplishments we've been able to make into Low Picket Park over here. I know we've added new equipment, new benches, fans, just redoing the basketball court surface there. Up here at North Highland Park, there's been a lot of brand-new picnic tables up there and picnic table areas, new bathrooms, new playground equipment, but we still have one old picnic table up there. It's one of the ones that was put up there. Might have been when our council president was working for the city and overseeing some of our parks about 75 years ago.
That wasn't that long.
Might I add, there's a slide up there that needs to go. That thing's from like, when they invented slides, it's a heat element.
It's
It's
mighty,
one of those old straight metal ones that'll fry you in the summer, so.
still mighty shiny and still functional. But
It's not rusty, which is amazing to me, but that needs to go.
But the picnic table, old picnic table is still up there, and some of that, my opinion, is there for us to show where we have come from. And I think with the new equipment and new investments up there, certainly appreciate everyone who supported and worked on that as well. But some of my closing comments I have written down here is I just want to extend my sincere gratitude to all of our municipal employees. Your hard work, professionalism, and unwavering dedication to this community continue to inspire me. Because of your efforts, Prattville has truly become a destination, whether it's our outstanding golf, our food establishments, the parade of pumpkins, or a wonderful Christmas season. We're blessed to live in this town we all proudly call home, and your service plays a tremendous role in making Prattville the place it is today. Just want to, again, thank all of our city employees who work so long and so hard, and sometimes some actions and words really does not fit their hard work and dedication to this community. So, again, thank you, city employees.
All right, Councilman Newman.
I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, I appreciate the collaboration from the council. I know a few people have made comments about it tonight, and I know it's, I think it's been very good as well, but there's a lot that goes on in the background that you don't see. There's even more double work that we've been talking quite a bit and dealing with a lot of things, and it's been exciting, it's been good. I've talked to each of these counselors since I've been elected a lot, and I think that's a good thing, and I want to say I appreciate it. Collaboration, I think, is what we all need to do. I also want to shout out to Paula. I have put her through it since I've been here, and I've learned a lot from her, and I know a lot of, I think I heard Councilor Merrick once talk about her, and I want to say she's put up with me and done a great job, and I really appreciate her. And Mr. Odom as well. I've been harassing them quite a bit here. But I also want to say to those of you that are here and those that are watching, we've got to collaborate. It's very easy. Everybody does this polar fight, and let's lead the way in collaborating. Everybody has valid points. We all have valid points. All of our city, we're all working very hard. Let's channel that energy into one main stream. We're all not going to get what we want. If I could get what I want all the time, but we can't, we know that. So let's work together as much as we can and keep it in the road, not off in the ditch. It's easy to throw rocks, but we're all working for the same thing, which is to make Prattville better. Everybody, every city employee, the mayor, the council, all of us love this city. We want it to be good. Let's just collaborate. Let's get a little grace and let's collaborate. I appreciate everybody. I do.
Councilor Jackson.
I'm just glad to see some of y'all still here 2.5 hours later. It's pretty neat. I know, too, I think the live streaming has been a hit. I've had multiple people text since we've been here, and I even heard from people from the last meeting. So I think this is a nice move. Maybe it's going to get more people engaged and involved. Thank you, Miss Robinson. Miss Robinson, I see you back there. Miss Deborah, just know that we're going to be continue working for you guys, and we're definitely going to be doing our part to work with you all to help get your situation resolved. And also, I just want to send some prayers up to you guys and Mr. Dodo, as he's healing, but we are definitely going to be working with you guys. And like I've said before, we want to make sure whatever processes we have in place, that they're not going to be adding to any stress and unnecessary issues, especially for some of our seniors. But anyway, thank y'all.
Councilor Chambers.
That joke's getting old, Whaley, I tell you. But I won't belabor, but thanks to you guys. I know you got put on the spot a little bit tonight, so I appreciate you stepping up and helping us. And as far as my comrades up here too, working together to get some things done tonight, just wanted to say that. And thanks to everybody who did stick it out. And hello, Mom. Thank you.
Councilor Merritt.
That's pretty good. Again, we'll make it short, but again, your voice does matter. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate the ones that are watching us live. Can't thank you enough. The things you bring up do make an impact. So thank you very much for that. Just piggyback on what Mr. Mayor said earlier, the ribbon cutting on the 4th, spillway at 6:30, the lighting of the Christmas tree. We'd love all of y'all to be there. I think Councilman El Presidente will be leading Christmas carols for us. So the parade, of course, will be Friday, as long as Mother Nature hangs in. And just in case, if you do not know, we're doing the old route. So we're going to be starting at the courthouse, and we'll be going through town and finishing up at Stanley Stadium. So I hope I didn't mean to take that from you, Robert, but thank you very much.
Councilor Stritching. Councilor Langley.
Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for speaking. It's always good to hear from you. And yeah, I love the transparency. It can sometimes feel a little chaotic whenever everybody's going back and forth and we're trying to figure things out. And I just want everyone to keep in mind that's what real life looks like, And so thank you guys for everybody working together and showing that how the sausage is made up here. It was good, wasn't it? Thank you.
All right. And the only thing I would add and say is a couple of you mentioned tonight, I think Ms. Robinson said it, that she doesn't live in a black neighborhood. And they're not black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods, they're neighborhoods. And somebody else mentioned that, you know, they want to see a time where we can all be together. And I personally believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I believe that He will return one day, and He will take me to an eternity to live with Him. And I have yet to find in His Word where there will be black or white neighborhoods in heaven. I believe we will all be the same. We will look the same. We will act the same. And we will rejoice and praise Him the same. So I appreciate y'all bringing that up tonight. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting is Tuesday, December the 16th at 6 p.m. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Merrick. Second? Second. Second by Councilor Chambers. All in favor say yes. Yay! Any opposed? No. We are adjourned.